I have a boner to pick with early access. On one hand, we have giant corporations releasing early access games like it's completely normal.
What the hell?
And then we got fanboys foaming at the mouth saying you can't criticize early access games. How about I give your mouth early access to these nuts?
How about that?
So is early access ever really an acceptable excuse for a game's problems? And is it really that bad to criticize an early access game? Today, we investigate. But first, an early word from our sponsor, Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is the best place to get amazing deals on new and upcoming releases. You can buy games like the new Oblivion remake, which looks incredible, and it's 20% off retail price on Instant Gaming. There's also games like GTA 5 Enhanced, which finally came out on PC, which is available at 60% off. They got the best deals and the buying process is super easy and secure. And why would you want to pay full price for games in 2025? Head over to Instant Gaming using the link in the description and treat yourself to some awesome deals. So the problem with early access is twofold. First of all, why in the hell are giant game publishers doing early access? Take for instance Kerbal Space Program 2, a game that was released in early access in 2023. This game was created by a studio that was owned by Take-Two, which is a company that's valued at nearly $40 billion. They certainly had enough money to pay for proper playtests, but instead they released the game in early access under the guise of getting valuable player feedback. Well, that's funny, because my cheatin' ex said the exact same thing, but the cherry on top is that Kerbal Space Program 2 was essentially shelved a couple years later and never even got a full release. This is a prime example of a company using early access to get a few easy dollars up front and to get players to test their game for them for free.
It's for free.
But early access isn't always a bad thing. When it comes to early access games, there's kind of these two distinct situations. On one hand, we have indie studios who release games in early access pretty much because they have to. Maybe they need more capital to continue funding the game's development, or maybe they just need more feedback because they can't afford to hire a bunch of playtesters. We saw Larian do this with Baldur's Gate 3 and Kinetic Games do this with Phasmophobia back in 2020. Both games released in early access, spent about 3 to 4 years gathering feedback and continuing development, and then they released to great success. And the same goes for Schedule 1. Because of its early access success, Schedule 1 will get to spend a few more years in development and just keep getting better. In all of these examples, early access was a valuable tool used by indie developers. But then there's the second kind of early access, the one where game studios backed by wealthy publishers release early access games to get you, the players, to do free playtesting and to make some money to appease shareholders. Get this, Electronic Arts' upcoming game Skate will be released this year in early access. This is a game created by a company worth $38 billion. Just finish the goddamn game and release it fully like every AAA publisher should. And then there is Inzoi. This is a life simulation game that released in early access last month, and the kicker is it's published by a company worth $11 billion. I'll get into that mess in a second, best you believe. EA, Take-Two, and Krafton are giant corporations with more than enough resources to develop games fully and hire real playtesters. No exceptions, no excuses. Yet, they've taken this early access formula, which was historically used primarily by indie studios, and are using it to take advantage of us, the players, under the guise of getting player feedback and making a better game. And to that I call bullshit.
Clap if you've ever wanted to kill somebody.
Which brings me to the second problem with early access releases, and that's how it's used to shield games from criticism. It's almost like some players want to protect early access games and try to shut down any criticism of them. And to serve as a case study in this video, I would like to introduce today's special guest, Inzoi.
You've got a big storm coming.
If you say something negative about Inzoi, you will be inundated with fanboys telling you it's unfair to criticize a game in early access. access. This shit is getting real old real fast. The people that follow early access games usually are the ones who are more passionate about the game, and I get that. But to excuse every single flaw in a game and to try to justify every questionable decision made by a company like Krafton just because the game is in early access kinda makes you look delulu. Here is what it boils down to. When you pay money for a product, you're allowed to criticize that product. Hell, even if you didn't buy the game, you're still allowed to have an opinion about it. When Baldur's Gate 3 was in early access, a lot of people had a lot of criticism about the game, but 3 years later, when it finally left early access and officially launched, what happened to Baldur's Gate 3? It went on to win Game of the Year and sell millions of copies. However, I'm not sure it would have if all of the negative criticism of the game had been stifled and shut down by these rabid fanboys. There's this excellent video by Leylindria, who was a community manager for a video game, where she addresses this exact behavior.
I also see this a lot in games that are like in beta or in early access. People will come on and say, hey, this game feels a little bit half-baked to me, or I feel like this game doesn't have certain features that I feel like it should have, and then people just immediately shutting that down with, yeah, it's beta, yeah, it's in early access, what do you think it's gonna be? Instead of actually listening to the criticisms and allowing people to voice their valid opinions about games.
This is someone who worked in a professional setting where she interacted with fans on a daily basis for a game that was in early access. And when she's saying it's a problem in early access game communities, baby, I believe her. I've played Inzoi for several hours, and I have to say, unless you're someone who loves making Instagram models or some shit, I cannot recommend anyone buy this game. It is incredibly barren and lackluster. I would even call it boring. And I'm not rage baiting or hating or attacking Inzoi. I'm giving my honest opinion. There's a reason Krafton sold over 1 million copies of Inzoi, but less than 4,000 people are playing it right now. It has fallen out of the top 200 actively played games for a reason. And the reason is not that it's early access.
Clock that T.
If a game is good and has the right marketing, people will play it. As a matter of fact, gaming influencers have influenced the fuck out of this game, and Inzoi has gotten more coverage than most games could ever dream of. Yet the hype is dead and the numbers aren't going up, and the reason is not that it's early access.
But I quickly realized that I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this game.
It's actually baffling because so many big content creators have played Inzoi. Call Me Kevin, Lauren Z-Side, Das Games, even my king and hero, Modest Pelican. These are creators with millions of subscribers, and their videos on Inzoi got millions of views combined. Yet the game is dead in the water, and there's a reason for that. And it's not that it's early access. Even a behemoth of a channel like GameRanks, which has a massive following where many people like myself go to for video game recommendations, has mentioned Inzoi a handful of times in videos.
Today we're talking about Inzoi. Starting off at number 20, Inzoi.
Yet the needle isn't budging. And for the 50th time, I certainly hope that's not always the case, and I really hope Inzoi gets better, but trying to shut down criticism and using early access as an excuse for all of the game's problems is not helping. When it comes to giant publishers releasing early access games, I understand why they do it. I understand that they spend a lot of money on development and shareholders are eager to start collecting some kind of return on their investments. But players should not be used as guinea pigs. We should normalize AAA publishers selling as finished games. And dear God, please do not go around defending multi-billion-dollar companies, especially ones that are taking advantage of you. Okay,